Yeah, hello. Welcome back. This is another installment of a series I like to call Reruns, where I analyze episodes of shows that you may or may not have seen. This is part two of a three-part series where I talk about certain episodes of My Little Pony. Just a little context. Anyway, so today we're talking about Leap of Faith from season 4 of My Little Pony Friendship is Magic. Leap of Faith is one of those episodes that speaks volumes about the show, its medium, its fan base, the demographic, and the parents of that demographic. So the episode opens with the Apple family all swimming in a swimming hole together, where Apple Bloom learns that Granny Smith was once a high diver, and she was actually really successful and almost broke a world record until she injured herself so bad that she had to retire swimming altogether. Despite this, Apple Bloom says she wonders about being a high diver too, and when her family interjects, Granny explains that although she dreams of her glory days, it did take a terrible physical toll on her, and she doesn't recommend it for Apple Bloom, especially when she's so young. When Apple Bloom is spoken to this way, when she's given the whole story, she understands and simply says, well, when you put it that way, it doesn't sound so fun. And this is the theme of honesty that this episode deals with. During this conversation, the Apple family is drawn to music that's coming from a tent playing nearby, luring them all inside, and that's where they find that the Flim Flam brothers, antagonists from season 2, have set up shop advertising for a snake oil type product, a tonic that can magically cure all ailments. For the record, Flim and Flam have the best songs. I love them so much. When Granny sees what wonders the tonic can do, she buys a bottle and immediately gets over her aversion to water. This prompts Applejack and Apple Bloom to investigate the Flim Flam brothers. During the investigation, Applejack and Apple Bloom split up, and Applejack ends up running into the brothers and asks them about the tonic. During this exchange, they allude to the idea that the tonic really is bogus. But if it makes Granny Smith happy, then what's the problem? And this is basically the scene that made me want to make this video. Apple Bloom comes in and asks Applejack if she figured out what's in the tonic, and Applejack says, as long as it works, I don't suppose it really matters. And then Apple Bloom replies, well, if it doesn't matter to you, then it doesn't matter to me either, sis. Do you get where I'm going with this? Stay tuned for the analysis. The episode then moves into the second half, where Granny Smith has been using the tonic and seems to have no problem swimming once again. But this time, when Apple Bloom asks about becoming an aqua pony, Granny Smith tells her that there's nothing to it and she can do whatever she wants, no matter the risk of injury or life, because to Granny, anything can be cured by the tonic, even pony pancakes, which is what Apple Bloom will become if she jumps off a high dive. Applejack wants to protest, but she goes along with it, encouraging them to enter the competition despite her hesitation. Applejack is now torn between her want to expose Flim and Flam for exploiting the sick and elderly, and the happiness she wishes for her family. And now, Flim and Flam have gotten into her head that these two things are interchangeable. Exploiting Granny Smith's desire to relive her glory days despite her physical and mortal limitations is the same as loving her and providing a positive environment for her to live in. When, in reality, it's not. Only in the long run will the damage that this tonic has done will rear its ugly face, and even then it'll be too late. Probably one of the worst moments in this episode is when a pony in a wheelchair asks Applejack, like, does this tonic really work? And Applejack has no choice but to continue to endorse this product or shatter the dreams of her grandmother, and I just feel so bad for that pony. Okay, third act time. Apple Bloom and Granny Smith enter a synchronized swimming competition as aqua ponies, and they win. They ask Granny Smith if it was hard work, and she's like, sorta, but mostly the sweet tonic did it for me. And there's something to be said here about performance-enhancing drugs, but that's not this video. As things keep escalating, Granny Smith attempts the high dive, and Applejack comes to her sense and prevents her from following through. AJ almost Gwen Stacy's her own grandmother. It's then that AJ comes forward and is forced to admit that she had lied alongside Flim and Flam. What I like about how it's phrased is that she apologizes and says, with time, I hope I can earn your trust, which is just a little tidbit of good writing. There's no expectation for anyone to forgive a liar right then and there, and the show offers that in the smallest of ways. At the end, she says something to the effect of, it's good to believe in something, but not when that something is a lie, which honestly could be read as a religious allegory. Again, this is not that video. This episode isn't about Applejack learning how to be honest. honest. She's already an honest pony. It's about how she uses that honesty to influence others, or rather, how she uses dishonesty to deter Apple Bloom from using her own critical thinking skills, and by extension, the rest of the town. When we, as adults, as influences of the younger generation, set an example, we are sending a message on how to function in everyday life. And when we tell children not to question the unknown, not to try and understand the world around us, or to challenge the ideas presented to us by others, we are encouraging them to become passive and complacent in their own lives. We are encouraging them to just believe whatever they are told, even if it's a lie. The big example that comes to mind when watching this episode is alcoholism. Alcohol in our society is painted as a fun maker, as a confidence booster, as something that improves your already dull life. But most importantly, it provides happiness to those who otherwise might not have it, or rather, it's advertised to us this way. Applejack knows the repercussions of Granny Smith dismissing her old age in favor of rekindling the light of her younger self, but chooses to allow her family to indulge themselves in unsafe activities rather than seek new ways to get around the problem at hand. And then on top of that, she chooses not to teach Apple Bloom about these issues. She keeps Apple Bloom in the dark about what could really happen to Granny if she high-dived in her age, or what could happen to Apple Bloom if she did such a thing without the proper training. By being passive, she is still encouraging Apple Bloom to accept the ways of the tonic, to accept things at face value, and to never challenge them. And eventually, Apple Bloom will probably turn to the tonic as well whenever she encounters a problem in her life, rather than dealing with them head-on in a healthy manner or with the proper tools to cope. But AJ does come clean, so we now know that Apple Bloom and Granny Smith won't just become uneducated drunks. Moral of the story? Educate your children? Or rather, never discourage them from learning and asking tough questions. Always ask why. Always research. And don't believe everything you read on the internet.